Thank you very much, Caroline, and welcome to everybody. Have you all had a good look in the Careers Fair at the back? Fantastic. Okay, it's a pleasure to be back here. I was here about 2 years ago, talking to a different group of people. Maybe there's some parents. Anyone here 2 years ago when I was here? Okay, well the good news is it's a different talk, so don't worry. Tonight I'm going to share with you some stories, some anecdotes and some advice as to how to stand out in the world of work, which means standing out from the crowd, from everyone else competing for the jobs and the opportunities that you may want to compete for moving forward with your career. And I always think it's quite important, when you get somebody stood on stage, you've got to think about who's talking to you, what qualifies them to give advice and give the advice that I'm going to give you this evening. I go to lots of presentations. I always want to know a little bit of background on the person, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my background, which will help explain why some of the advice I'm going to give you this evening is so important. So when I was coming up, when I was about your age, we didn't have careers fairs. When I was at school, there was no careers fair. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. There was nobody really to give me any help and advice, and I kind of just trundled along through my qualifications. I did the first year of GCSEs, went on to do A-levels, ended up at University of Nottingham, did a degree I was interested in, and then came out and didn't really know what the job opportunities or what the job market looked like. And I took a job with a company called KPMG, a firm of chartered accountants, and I trained for 4 years and qualified as a chartered accountant. But really it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but I still wasn't sure. So I went to see a recruitment company and walked into the office and said, I know I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not quite sure what I want to do. Can you help me? And they offered me a job in recruitment. So I spent the next 10 years of my life in the recruitment industry, basically sat between employers and job seekers. So people looking for jobs, people looking for their first job, having left school, college or university, and also people very experienced who'd reached a high-level executive position. And it taught me a lot, because when you sit in that space, you start to observe. And you start to observe things that perhaps aren't going so well for people. You start to realise what employers really want, never mind what they say they want. And what I decided to do was to write a book. So I wrote my first book, which is up on the left, Super Secrets of the Successful Job Seeker, which is on Amazon. Have a look on there, it's done quite well. And as a result of that book, people started to approach me and say, can you coach me in the job market? And I decided, well, do you know what? Maybe there's a business in this. So I was running my own business at the time in recruitment, and I decided to leave my own business and set up my company, Career Codex. So now what I do, I coach senior executives from all over the world as to how to move through the job market successfully. But my real passion is to help the executives of the future. Because when you have an experience, when you're younger, as I was, and I didn't get the advice that you've had this evening, I kind of want to put something back. And if I can help change the direction or course of action of some of you in the room this evening, then my job's done. And that's my passion. So my latest book, Super Secrets of the Successful First-Time Job Seeker, is written specifically for those leaving school, college or university, either looking to find work experience or their first job, or indeed start their own business, which I did back in 2008. I like to put in an unusual fact. The job market is all about standing out. It's important to be memorable. And sometimes the personal stories that we tell are more important than the professional stories we tell. So I'm going to share this little story with you. Back in 2005, I read a book called Angry White Pajamas. Anyone read that book? Anyone do martial arts in the room? Okay. Martial arts? Yeah, good. Okay, so I read this book. It's about a guy. He went to Japan and enrolled on this course called the Senshusei course. It's an 11-month boot camp with the Tokyo Riot Police that takes you from white belt to black belt in 11 months. And basically you train 4 hours a day, 5 days a week for 11 months. If you're sick, you train. If you're injured, you train. There was one guy broke his arm on the course. Guess what? He trained. It was a real strange life experience. And I read this book and I decided I would go and do it. So age 35, 36, I sold my car, I sold my house, I sold my worldly possessions. I went to pretty much every single car boot sale you can go to in and around Nottinghamshire. And I got on the plane to Japan, completely out of my comfort zone, which I'm going to talk about later. And the reason I share this story is because that experience taught me two very important things. And two very important things when it comes to successful job search and managing your career, which is determination and discipline. And the two are linked. You need determination to be disciplined, and you need discipline to continue and be determined over a period of time. And some of those skills and some of the things I impart through my books and my teaching is based on that experience. That was my life-changing experience. And I'm sure as you go through your careers, you'll have similar, and it's important very much to inject some of your personal story into your application when you go out there for jobs. Okay, I like to do a bit of interactive stuff, so please indulge me. Let's do a little quiz, numbers, and I've got 3 numbers on the screen. Can anyone tell me the significance of the first number, 13.6%? There's no prizes, but can anyone tell me? Any of the parents in the room? Any ideas? Okay, 13.6% is the unemployment rate for 16 to 24-year-olds from May to July 2016. If you're an adult, the unemployment rate is a lot lower. So what that tells you is, if you're coming into the job market anytime soon, it's going to be quite tough, or it could be quite tough. So you have to be prepared. The second number, 100 people. Any ideas? Significance of 100 people? So I ran a recruitment company for 5 years. Typically, for every job advert I put out there, I would have at least 100 applications. That means you've got a 1 in 100 chance. And that assumes that you've got the right skills and experience for the job. So again, it's a competitive environment. And finally, 15 seconds, my favourite one. Anyone know what that is?
How long they look at your application.
Yeah, or CV. Very good, sir. Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of talk in the job market, a lot of advice given about spending lots and lots of time on your CV. And it's right in part, because you need a CV and it's got to be good. But if you rely on your CV, and I'll share a story shortly about why you can't rely on a CV, then there's no guarantee you're going to get a result. Because A, people don't read it, and even when they read it, they scan read it. So, don't rely on it. You've got to do things differently as a young person coming into the job market. Okay, anyone know this guy? Lives around Nottingham. Anyone know him? Dan Miller? Ring any bells? Perhaps seen him in the paper? I first met Dan when he was 16. Okay, some of you in the room will be 16, 15, 16. I met Dan when he was 16. And he reached out to me. I run a business group in Nottingham. He reached out to me because he wanted to create a business and start a business that basically connected young people to the world of work. So he saw in his peer group, in his school, some of the people there weren't getting the opportunities that they wanted. They weren't quite sure what they wanted to do. So he set up a business called Young Professionals at 16. And he approached me to help him find sponsorship and connect him to the business community. I took him to a business lunch, 150 people there, brought him up on stage, completely out of his comfort zone. He's done loads of things since then. He's now 18. We call him the 17-year-old CEO, so we kind of split it in the middle. He's spoken on stage before Theo Pathetis from Dragon's Den in Birmingham at the NEC. He's done some amazing stuff because he put himself out there. And the significance of the boat on the right-hand side of the picture is this. I took Dan to the East Midlands Chamber of Commerce Skills Summit to help me out. I was speaking. And he couldn't drive at the time. He was 16. We walked out of the building and I said, Dan, do you need a lift anywhere? He was at the University of Nottingham. And he said, yeah, I'll have a lift, please. And I said, making conversation, well, do you like cars? What's your favourite car? The kind of thing you chat to a 16-year-old about. And he said, do you know what, Simon? I'm not interested in cars. I want a yacht. And I thought, wow, this guy's got some serious ambition. And he has. So the lesson here is this. There are opportunities everywhere, and sometimes you have to create those opportunities. Your age is irrelevant. If you believe in something, you're passionate about something, and you've got a mission in life, you can get on and do it. Dan is living proof of that. And I wanted to share that story with you to show you that not only is he out there doing it, he's actually making a difference to young people's lives like you to help you connect you to job opportunities in the marketplace. Let me talk to you about another story. This is a young man who I brought into my recruitment business, who I hired back probably 5-6 years ago, called Matt Harmer. And Matt's got lots of bottle, and I'll explain why. So Matt was looking for a job, okay? He sent me his CV. He emailed his CV to me. Guess what happened? Did I read it? Anyone? If I did, it would only be 15 seconds. But no, I didn't read it because it got lost in my inbox because my inbox was pretty busy. So he waited a couple of days and he phoned me and he said, Simon, have you seen my CV? And I said, no. I was quite embarrassed actually. He said, dig it out of your inbox. So I dug it out and 2 things caught my attention. The first thing was he'd done the Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award. And the second thing was he'd got 2 weeks work experience with a recruitment company. And guess what? He was one of my rivals. So I was pretty interested. So I invited him in. I wasn't recruiting at the time, by the way, but I invited him in. We had a coffee, we had a chat. He was well prepared, well researched, and I invited him back to meet my business partners. So he came back. But when he came back, before he came back, we gave him a challenge. And we said, Matt, what we want you to do, imagine you're working for our company. We have to go out and develop business with people, with organisations. We're going to give you a business, Punch Taverns. What I want you to do is to write a business development letter to Punch Taverns. You can put in whatever you want. This is a pub company. Put in whatever you want, and you need to find out who you address it to. So he came back. He walked into my office with a wine bottle. Had my company logo on the front. And inside was a rolled up piece of paper. And I said, what's that? He said, it's a message in a bottle. Wow, how impressive was that? He got my attention. At that point, even prior to reading the letter, he'd got a job in my business, and we weren't even recruiting. In actual fact, we had tried to recruit, my partners and I, we tried to recruit 2 or 3 months prior, and we'd gone down the graduate route. We'd interviewed 8 graduates, I think, and none of them impressed us as much as Matt. Matt was 19, he'd got okay qualifications, he'd gone to college, and now he was in the job market. But the fact that he got work experience, the way he approached, showed that he was determined and he was innovative and creative, and that counted for a lot. Who's heard of the skills gap? Anybody? Parents in the room, you'll have read about this in the paper, probably scares you. Is anyone going to get a job? Are my kids going to get a job? I talk about the skills gap a lot. I was at an event this morning in Nottingham, some of the bigger employers. We were at Capital One's offices, we had Experian, Boots, some of the other big organisations there. The skills gap is something we talk about. One of the things we're talking about is how we connect young people to business opportunities. Now, the skills gap, when you read about it in the paper, assumes that we're turning out people from schools, college and university not fit for the job market. No, I don't believe that. I think it's a load of rubbish. I think the challenge and the gap is in actual fact that people don't know how to engage with one another. So employers don't necessarily know how to reach you guys, and you don't necessarily know how to reach employers. But Dan and Matt are living proof that if you do reach out, there are opportunities there. And that's the gap. It's a communication gap and maybe a knowledge gap in how to go to the market, how to go to the job market directly. And this involves taking proactive control. And you've got to know how to play the job market game. Some of you will play football, netball, other sports. You've got to know what the rules of the game are. You have to, don't you? If you play football and you don't know what the rules are, you're going to get sent off. Not going to be a very good game. Same with netball or whatever else. So you have to know the rules of the game. And you have to know the rules of the game in the job market. And what I mean by that is you have to know how employers recruit. What I can tell you, because I know loads of employers, I sat between employer and job seeker for 10 years, when employers need to recruit, the first thing they often don't think about is going out and putting a job advert out there. Why? Because it costs money. Why? Because there's no guarantee of success. Do they go out straight to recruiters? Sometimes, but not always. Why? Is there a guarantee of success? It's going to cost them a lot more money if they go to recruiters. So what they often do is go out to their peer groups and networks. And for the parents in the room who are in business, if you need to hire, you probably talk to your colleagues, the people that you know, your friends, your associates. If you don't get anywhere, you'll go out to your peer group. That's how the job market gets done. So if you're waiting to see a job advertised, you're in that 1 in 100 game, okay? 1 in 100. If you can position yourself before the jobs are even advertised based on what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, and get in front of employers in the right way, you can create an opportunity for yourself. Matt is a living example of how that worked for him. So it's about thinking differently to get the job done, because employers don't like recruiting. It's painful. It's uncertain. They never know what they're getting. You know, the interview process does not tell you what somebody's going to be like. It gives you a clue, but it doesn't tell you. So if you can position yourself in the job market, in conversations 1 and 2, the place I call the hidden market, as a young person with youth on your side, you're going to get attention. Dan got my attention, Matt got my attention. And let me tell you another story. There's a lady called Lucy Hoyes. She's a student at Nottingham Trent University. I sat next to her at a dinner before Christmas. It was the Institute of Directors annual dinner. Sat there, we had a chat. She told me a bit about herself, what she was interested in. I told her a bit about what I do. Forgot about her. When I had Christmas with the family, forgot about her, didn't think about her again. And then about 3-4 months on, I got tapped on the shoulder, conversation 1 by somebody I know. in the business community to say, we've got an opportunity, we want a young person who can organise events, do you know anyone? And I thought, wow, I remember that girl, she was really good, she was really engaging. And I phoned her up, and she remembered me, which was a good start. Phoned her up, and I put her in touch with this employer. She got a job, 3 months work experience, paid work experience, with an organisation called Invest in Nottingham. She then, off the back of that, got an opportunity with the Institute of Directors. She now works for the Institute of Directors. I ran an event for them, for Nottingham Trent University, a couple of weeks back. I turned up, she was there, which was quite surreal because I was talking about her in my presentation. But she's not here tonight. But there's living proof that if you put yourself out there, not with the expectation that there might be a job right there, right now, but you connect with the right people, the right employers, the employees that could offer you that opportunity, you might just find the phone rings. Okay, you can't just rely on the CV. Let's talk about the 4 pillars of success in the job market. The first one is the environment. You've got to know how the job market works to play the game properly. I've just spoken about that. You have to understand psychology. You know, the most important thing governing your success or failure in the job market and in life is what goes on in here. How you talk to yourself, what you believe, how you think and how you act. Let me give you an example. If you're sat here tonight thinking there's no jobs out there, you really believe that and you think it, are you going to take action? No, you're not, because what's the point? But if I've opened your eyes to say, look at these 3 young people I've spoken about, look what they've done, they're just like you. If you start to believe that, you'll start to think it, and you might just take some different action moving forward tonight. And if you do that, then I've kind of done my job. The next thing is planning. Who knows what they want to do when they leave school? Anybody? Okay, somebody at the back. Very good, very good. I call this the $1 million question. And it's a question that you have to answer at some point. It took me till I was 35 to answer it. So if I can help you get there quicker, then so much the better. So it's a difficult thing to find out. And you've got to really think about it, because until you know what you want to do, you don't know who you need to go and talk to, and you don't know what message to deliver to them. Okay? If you're going to be proactive, you've got to know which direction you're being proactive in. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then you've got to understand how the job market game is played, the recruitment game is played. And I use that game word very specifically because it is a game. It is about understanding how that game's played. It's understanding how to put a CV together, how to write a cover letter, how to go on interview, how to do the offer negotiation, how to use social media strategies, all of this stuff that is expected but is not often taught. So, excuse me, let's talk about define. When you're thinking about the job opportunity that you want, don't make the mistake that I did when I was your age. For me, it was all about the money. Okay? If you offer me an extra £1,000, I'll come and work for your company as opposed to your company. That was a mistake I made because unfortunately, yes, the remuneration works and it's great, but eventually your enthusiasm might run out. If you focus on what you're passionate about, your energy and enthusiasm will never run out. And as a result, if you find what you're passionate about, you'll be in the game long enough to get the financial rewards. So I use a phrase now which is passion pays. Okay? Don't worry about what it pays today. Don't worry about whether you're doing 2, 3, 4 weeks work experience and you're not getting paid. If it's something you're passionate about, passion pays. If you're not sure what you're passionate about, look at what hobbies and interests you have. When I used to interview candidates that came into my business, even some of the senior people, I'd say, what do you do outside of work? Why did I ask them that? Because I wanted to get a sense of them, a sense of their individuality, what made them tick. Okay? Because my view was this: if they weren't passionate about something outside of work, how are they ever going to be passionate about being in work? Okay? So what you're passionate about, think about what some of the characteristics of what you need to be in your sport or your hobby. How could that translate to the job market? It's a really good clue as to what you could and should be doing. The next thing is research. When I was coming up, when I was at school, there was no internet, no email, no Facebook. Times were hard. All right? But now you've got the internet at your fingertips. If you want to know what it's like to work for an organization or work in a particular sector, you've got to Google it. You can go on LinkedIn and see who's doing what. You can approach these people on LinkedIn, ask them some questions, have a conversation. The world is at the fingertips now, and it's about reaching out and making connections and researching what it is you think you want to do to make sure it is what you want to do. And finally, work experience. We heard earlier about the importance of work experience. Well, work experience is massive. That's why Matt got his job with me. It is a try before you buy. You know, perception is not always reality. When I was 16, I wanted to work in a hotel. I wanted to be a hotel manager. Why? Because I've been on holiday with my parents. I kind of like the sunbeds. I like the entertainment in the evening. And yeah, it was pretty nice. It was a cushy number. But when I went to work in a hotel and got work experience, I realized pretty quickly that that wasn't the reality. It was tough. Long hours, hot, sweaty kitchen, difficult customers, and it steered me in a different direction. You can have as many work experiences as you want. It's not just one thing. And if you've got something you're passionate about, something you're interested in, if you approach an employer and offer your time, energy, and effort for a period of time, they're going to be hard-pressed to say no if you approach them in the right way. So work experience is absolutely critical, not only for you to decide what it is you want to do, but also to convince an employer to hire you because you know what you're getting into. And Matt is a prime example of that. Let's talk about finding the opportunity. So you've answered the $1 million question. You got a clue. You're going to use work experience to kind of test the water. But how do you find a work experience opportunity or a job opportunity? Well, I've mentioned internet and social media. A huge clue out there. You know, if you go onto LinkedIn, if you're on LinkedIn, you do an advanced people search on the discipline that you're interested in, it will throw up a whole host of people in a whole host of different companies. That's a pretty good clue that maybe they're companies that you're interested in working for. You know, I was talking about one of the up-and-coming sectors in my presentation earlier. You know, gaming is huge in Nottingham. You know, we all like the games. You know, I've had a PlayStation and this, that, and the other in the past. I try not to get distracted with it now. But gaming's huge. If you're interested in gaming, yeah, we've got Game City in Nottingham. We've got a real incubation of up-and-coming gaming talent. If you go on the internet and find that out, you wander into Game City in the city, and you say you're interested in gaming, they'll put you in touch. You've used the internet and research to find the opportunity and to put you in touch with the opportunity. It's more than a CV. Matt's a prime example. If Matt had sent his CV and waited, he never would have got an opportunity with my business. So you've got to think about being more creative. Message in a bottle is a prime example. You don't need to go to that extreme, but where could you position yourself in front of your target employer? What events are they running? Yeah, where are they based? What are they doing? Can you get in front of them and meet them face to face? When I presented earlier, 2 people came to talk to me at the end. I will remember those 2 people now for a long time. And if I have an opportunity, they're the people I'm going to ring up. That's how it works. They've got in front of a potential employer. Go direct. Don't wait for things to happen. Do not fall into the trap of thinking you need to see a job advertised to get a job. Particularly at your age, particularly with your level of experience, businesses are crying out for talent. This is the skills gap I was talking about. If you approach these businesses in the right way and you're good, you're proactive, you're motivated, they will create opportunities for you. Trust me, I've been with 20 companies this morning. This is what they tell me. And comfort zone is important. Okay, if you're going to go out there and find an opportunity and not just rely on your CV, not to stay behind the computer screen, you've got to step out of your comfort zone. Who's got a comfort zone? Anybody? Everyone has. Yeah, mine's quite big now, but it used to be quite small. Your comfort zone is the people you know, the places you go, and the things you're used to doing. The people you know, the places you go, and the things you're used to doing. Okay? If you're going to go into the job market and get work experience or a job, the chances are you're not going to know the employer. You don't know the people. That's a step out of your comfort zone. Okay? You're going to go to a different place. You've not been to that workplace before. Again, it's a step out of your comfort zone. Okay? And you're going to be doing different things. You know, you're not going to be doing what you do at school necessarily. You're going to be doing different things. So it's a big leap of faith to do something different. And what happens, and this is the psychology element of job search, which is the most important thing, people get to the periphery of their comfort zone and they panic because it feels uncomfortable. So they come back and they won't do that again. What you should do is stay on the edge of your comfort zone until you break through it and it becomes bigger. And let me give you an example. 2 years ago when I presented here, I wasn't as confident as I am today presenting. I used to be terrified of public speaking. And some of the adults in the room are probably smiling. If you've been asked to do public speaking, apparently it's more fear than death. So I've heard. Anyway. I pushed myself onto the edge of the comfort zone and made sure I pushed myself to ask questions at events, which was kind of mini public speaking, but then also get out there and take opportunities. And I did it, and I did it, and I did it. And it was uncomfortable, but I chased that fear. I chased that feeling of discomfort. And last year when the Nottingham Post did a call out to the business community for people to do a stand-up comedy challenge for charity, I put my hand up and did it. I was terrified. 350 people, big stage. I wasn't very funny. Nobody really laughed. 8-minute set, but I did it. That was breaking through my comfort zone, which means I can come and talk to you tonight with absolutely no fear. For you guys in the audience, you're gonna push the boundaries. You're gonna feel uncomfortable, but stay there long enough to get uncomfortable and then move forward. It's very, very important. Otherwise, your comfort zone will stay like this, and you want it to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's something you should work on throughout your life. There's a film called Yes Man with Jim Carrey. If you've never seen that film, watch that film. That's all about stepping out of your comfort zone and doing different things. If I leave you with one message tonight, that's the message I leave you with, to do that and to actively pursue that feeling of being uncomfortable. So, you're in front of the employer. How do you get the job? Well, to get in front of the employer, you need a balanced portfolio of activity. Phone, social media, don't just rely on the CV, don't just rely on email. Get to the networking events, be offline and online. When you go in front of an employer, you've got to present yourself in the right way. That's how you look. Does it mirror what the employer expects? If it's banking, you maybe dress slightly differently to a creative industries. If you're not sure, then check. It's also about how you carry yourself, how you walk into the room. My course in Japan, we had to stand like this all the time, like a soldier. When we walked into the dojo, we couldn't put a bag over our shoulder. We had to carry it back straight all the time. That's how we carried ourselves. That's how we presented ourselves. And that sent a message that we were serious. So you've got to think about your body language. You've got to think about how you dress, how you talk, how you present yourself, because that is really important. And sometimes the things you don't say are more important than the things you do. Preparation. We had a saying in recruitment that it's not the best prepared candidate that gets the job. It is the best prepared candidate that gets the job. The ones that are the best candidate don't necessarily get the job. So you can have all the skills and experience, but if you don't prepare for interview, then you're probably not going to get the job. I was at a firm of solicitors earlier today for a meeting. This guy walked in, he was all flustered. I knew he was on a job interview. Seen plenty of candidates in the time to know that. So I said to him, "Are you on a job interview?" And he said, "Yes." So I just made conversation because I knew a few people at the solicitors. I thought I might be able to help him. I said, "Who are you meeting?" Guess what he said? "I've no idea." I'd have kicked him out there and then. He wasn't prepared. If you don't know who you're meeting, I can pretty much hazard a guess that he didn't know much about the organisation. So you have to be prepared. Okay, the best prepared candidate gets the job. And you have to act as if. Okay, you're not going to have all the skills and experience. Some of you, when you do your first stint of work experience or your first job, will have never worked in business before. But if you've researched and you use that research to act as if you have, that will send a message. Okay, when you go for interview, if you've researched, you can then position your experience and your knowledge to demonstrate to the employer that you know what you're getting into, and talk about some of the challenges that they have with the organisation, some of the research that you've done. It does what I call establish a higher baseline. And that sends a message that you're serious and you're different to other candidates. And that's really what it's all about. So, anyone tell me who the gentleman is on the left in the picture? This is probably one for the parents. Billy Ocean, very good. What did Billy Ocean sing? When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Okay? The reason I've put Billy Ocean's picture up there, it's subject to my blog post a couple of weeks back, but no, the real reason is this. The job market is fraught with rejection. You are going to get kicked, pushed down. You're going to experience some really, really tough times. It's just the nature of the game. Your face won't always fit with the organisations that you want to work for, but you have to keep going. It's back to that determination and discipline. So when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And more importantly, they keep going. They don't give up. Anyone know the lady on the right-hand side? Picture there. Think Olympics, Paralympics, you won't be far wrong. Anyone know? Sophie Hoxha. Okay, I met Sophie at the weekend. There was an event in Nottingham for the Rio athletes. She was on the news last night. Probably saw her in Manchester. She won gold medal and silver medal at the Paralympics in Rio. She's a sprinter. And I had the privilege of holding these medals. It was quite inspiring. She's only 19 years of age. Okay, she trains down in Loughborough. Really nice girl. Very inspiring. I was talking to her about her story. What got her into this thing. And she was passionate about running. I think it was a brother was a member of an athletics club. She went down, had a go, and realised that she was pretty good at it. She runs the 100 metres. I think her personal best is 12.06 seconds. She's about this high. Yeah, when I used to do that at school, it was about 14, 15 seconds. But the point is this, she started her athletics career at 15. That's when she first set foot on a track. Yeah? 5 years later, she's got 2 gold medals. at the Paralympics. So whatever you're sat there thinking about doing now, with that kind of mindset and that kind of determination, and don't get me wrong, she's training 5 days a week, 6 days a week, diet, everything. But if you have that mindset, whatever your gold medal looks like, it's my belief that you can get it. It's about thinking differently, believing different things, acting differently. Don't get discouraged. Keep going. Do different things to everybody else and stand out from the competition. That's how you get ahead in the world of work. So, this is the uncomfortable part. This is where I ask you if you have any questions. My contact details are on the screen. I have a website, careercodex.com. I put lots of video content out there, free content about how to navigate the job market successfully. There are some bookmarks at the front if you want to get some details of my book. But if somebody has a question, and this is not for the adults, if for the young people in the audience tonight, if you have a question, and it's got to be a pretty good question, not a silly question, a good question, if you're brave enough to ask me that question, I'll give you a copy of this book. So remember the comfort zone conversation? Anyone want to put their hand up and do it? Make a change? Anybody? I know somebody wants to do it. No? Okay, I'll have to keep the book. Maybe next time. Come on, one last chance then. I don't bite. There we go. Yes, sir.
Certain aspects would you look for in 15-second scan?
15-second scan. Yeah, on a CV. Okay. So I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know what's different about you. Okay. And if all your CV tells me is you've got certain qualifications, I'm kind of going to expect that. I'm not too worried about the grades. For me, it's more about attitude. And like I said earlier, what you do outside of work, what makes you tick, that's what I'm interested in. Because that gets me under the skin of you to know what you're like as an individual. Okay? And I'll remember you now. So you don't need the CV. I've already remembered you. So well done. You can get the book at the end, yeah? Any other questions from the parents? Anything at all? I like questions because I never know what anyone's going to ask me. So feel free to throw a challenge out there and ask me anything you want. Yes? Can I give you a job? Do you know what you want to do? Come and talk to me at the end. I might be able to make some introductions. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. Thank you.